Alright, so in this video we will talk about network routes. In the previous video we have talked about network configuration and specifically network interfaces. Okay, since we have talked about that, now we will just talk about the network routes. So I'm just gonna go here, and so what actually is network routes? The first line you see over here, so we got this answer from the previous video that what are the different interfaces that the machine has, and now the next question is where can actually this machine, the compromised machine, can actually reach. So the simplest example of that will be think of it like there is a signboard or at a crossroad. Okay, and you are standing there and you want you have like three option, or like let's just say some option. To go to area A you will go to right, to go to area B you will just go to left, and to go to area C you will have to go straight. So think of it like this kind of a board thing. Okay, you will just get the idea what I'm trying to say. Now if I tell you the same thing in Linux term, it will be like to reach this specific network you will use this specific ETH0 interface, and to reach this another network you will have to use this another interface. Okay, which is the ETH1. And for any other thing that you need to reach, you just go to the default gateway, which is the router IP most likely. So other than these two, it will the any request you are making, it will just go to the router, and router will just pass it to the internet, and you will receive whatever you want. So that's the same thing that I just said. The routing table is exactly the signboard. It tells Linux for this destination IP which interface do I need to send the packet out of. Okay, so we will see the different network and also the network interfaces it will need to send the packet out of. Okay, to see the routing table we have like three different commands. One is for the modern Linux, which is the IP route. You just type this and you will get the routing table. Another is the routel, and next is all for older version, which is route-n, and this will just show the full routing table including all tables. So now if I copy this specific command and go to my attacker machine, I have already typed this. Let me just clear this and type again IP route, and you can see right here we got like two lines, this and this. Okay, so to explain this I'm just gonna go again to my notes, and you see this is like very similar exactly to the response we got in the attacker machine. Okay, just the IP is different kind of, but the rest is same. So now let's just understand these. So the first of all you see over here this default thing, this right here. We also got this over here, you can see it right. So it's more like a default rule. Like for example there are like three things going on. So for example you have set some rule. If something is not relevant to that rule, it will just go to the default, and this is what exactly that is. And next we have this via this IP. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing via correctly. So it's just, or I mean the traffic that does not match any specific rule which considered as default, send all of those traffic via this specific IP, which is the gateway router. Okay, and through what interface? Through this interface. Okay, this is the interface that we are connected to the internet. So overall it's like kind of send all of the default traffic to the gateway using this specific interface. And then we have the second line, which is this is exactly the same that we got over here. So what this is, this just I think kind of mean like in simple term this mean this specific IP can have like 256 IP, but you need to remove the two. One is for the network and another is for the broadcasting, so a total become 254. So out of those 254 IPs, which like for example you have some devices, mobiles, laptops, computer, they will utilize these IP. Normally in home we actually don't use all of those IPs, like we use a small amount of that. So it just mean for any of the device that has any of the IP from the range that I just told you, if it generates any traffic, just transfer it or send it using this specific interface. Okay, and then we have the last line, which we really did not get here, but let's just see what this is. Okay, this is another interface, like a different network interface card, and this is another. You can see right here, this is 0, this is 1. So this is actually a local host. In previous video I showed that this is the range of where the local IP started from. So it's very similar to this, but the IP changes. It's completely a different network now. So for any device that contains any IP in the range, like in this range, just use this specific interface instead of this. Okay, so any device that has the IP in this range, it will use this specific interface. That generate any kind of traffic, it will go through this specific interface. I'm just gonna come to this part, but before that let me come to this one. So the same thing default via this specific IP and this interface. This is the same thing that we just talked about. So what actually in simple term, it means that the device has the internet access. Now since it has the internet access, we have got the initial access on that device. What we can do now is we can download tools and stuff and do data exfiltration and stuff. And in case you type the IP route command and you actually don't see the default gateway, it will just mean that the device that it does not have the internet access. And since it does not have internet, just talk locally and we cannot use the internet, download anything from the internet. To quickly and simply tell you what subnet is, in simple terms, it's like breaking down a large network into smaller one. Okay, so for example, if you see like this 192.168.1.0/24, the 24 part tell you actually the whole network size. Yeah, it called actually the CIDR notation, classless, something like this. CIDR, I just forgot the full form. So when you see something like /24, it just means that this specific network, you can see this is the same thing. Any IP from .1 to .54, these are usable IP, like the host can use it. This is what I just told you earlier in this video. Actually we got the 256 IP, but the one we give to the route the network, and the last one, which is 255, we give it to the broadcasting. So we left with 254 usable IP. And if we use the /16, it just means that we get even more usable IP addresses. And if we see add, we then get millions of IP. I know it's not like very easy to explain it like in this short time. I might explain it in some other video. I had a subject on this one, I have studied this. So to summarize this, I'm gonna just come here, and actually what we did is the routing table just in simple term tell the machine where to send the traffic and through which interface. We can check it by using either of these commands. So when we type this command, we just confirm that if there are multiple subnet or no, and which network we can actually reach to. And we also confirm if the default gateway exists or no, like we reach server here. Like it will just simply mean that the computer or the device has the internet access. And if you see no gateway, you will not be able to like download the file from the internet. I hope this video makes sense. Okay, I will see you in the next video in the listening services. See you soon.